Day 2 from the NAB 2025 New York show floor at the KeyCode Media booth. We thought we were done, but then we had the crazy idea, why don't we put our CEO and president, Mike Cavanagh, on the hot seat to see what he thinks of this year's trade show. Mike, thanks for joining us.
I'm blown away that you're giving me camera time, Michael. Thank you so much.
Well, we look so much alike. You know, white gentlemen with glasses, we look very similar.
I put them on especially for you today.
Thank you. Thank you. So at each trade show, there's a theme, right? So what would you say the theme for this trade show is, NAB New York 2025?
I think the theme is effectively, collectively understanding the future of the industry via technology. Where people are, what are sort of the roadmaps and the directions and the themes that the vendors are talking about? And is that theme resonating with how the clients are seeing their future? And where I'm hearing from clients is very much software, virtualization, hybrid, some cloud, some on-prem, some places are completely locked down and they don't even trust the hyperscalers for anything. But it's everybody finding sort of their lane and then evaluating technology for what's the most effective direction for them, leveraging AI, virtualization, automation, hybrid workflows, and being able to make the deliverables that they have.
It almost sounds like I don't want to say contraction, but the days of everything being heavy iron is kind of being sunset because we're getting software-defined applications that you can run virtualized or in the cloud, right? Software that could be a subscription, right? And creative tools that you can basically port anywhere. So that coupled with AI, I think you're dead on. Almost every booth here had some form of AI. But what I like about what a lot of these tools are doing is that they are saying, well, you know what, we're not locked in to one AI provider.
Right.
You can use multiple providers because the technology changes and the abilities of different AIs vary greatly.
Right, and the concept of virtualization and literally having tech stacks that are nimble enough where you can transfer and or migrate without completely disrupting your pipeline, I think is critical, where clients are now viewing the cost of acquisition is high and different, but on a subscription level, the bigger cost is building the systems, the process, and training their people to have something that's reliable and that works and that everybody buys into it.
So it's not just the let's deploy the software and here it works, there's an education and kind of buy-in from everyone at every level of that company to ensure that the deployment is successful and people get trained and can utilize it.
Exactly, I mean, software in itself is meaningless if people can't use it effectively. And one of the things, you know, we came from the AI creative forum that we did with the Editors Lounge in Los Angeles a couple weeks ago, and one of the things that really resonated when I was speaking to people at the cocktail hour was, is AI going to take my job? And really, I pivoted it from a larger scope of looking at what is happening to your job, where is it going, and a lot of it's been driven to multiple different states with higher incentive programs or overseas where the labor rate is lower. And I've said, rethink AI in terms of a fear and say, how can AI be a tool for me to be more competitive to bring the work back?
To punctuate that, we had John Morgan from New York Life on the recording or on the stream yesterday, and he outlined the fact that they're using AI, analytical AI for storytelling, they're using Gen AI to generate B-roll, and they haven't had any loss of headcount. They've actually hired more folks. They've condensed their timeline so they can do more, and they're now getting producers that instead of just doing what they used to are now being trained on how to take a still image and morph that into video to then use as B-roll, which I think is just a fantastic use without reducing headcount.
I think in some areas, headcount can be reduced, but in other areas, you can just do more, and that's a business decision. And that's one of the things how at KeyCode Media we're really trying to frame to be able to present to our clients on the cost of ownership, being up to speed, the levels of production you need to really attain, and what are the analytics behind that. And almost every client we talk to right now says, you know, we used to buy the cool technology, now we have to justify it. And that's one of the good news is, you know, as a major economics with the dismal science and an MBA, you know, I really live and die by what is the payback for our clients, what is the risk, what's the opportunity, how can they bring this into their organization to be successful? And I think that's a lot of what the vendors are really bringing, both their first iteration of integration with AI to the larger level of what's the roadmap and how's that all going to interconnect together to allow radically greater productivity.
You mentioned interconnect, and I'd agree that what I've seen on the show floor is that more and more companies aren't just saying, yes, we have APIs that we can integrate, it's we've already proactively worked with this other partner, so our stuff already works together, because now that we're seeing the definition of broadcast and filmmaking kind of expand, more tools need to work together. And we're seeing this from major manufacturers. Have you kind of seen that trend as well?
Absolutely, from a work together level, but in addition, levels of automation, so that I had one client and he said, the goal for my coders every single day is to eliminate one mouse click a day at a minimum. Mm-hmm. And it's automation, and not just how they work together, but what levels of that can be automated, harvesting the metadata and automatic triggers to have, learning automation, LMM, and the ability to just be more effective and have humans not have to do the drudgery part of the business, but instead have systems that can alert them when there are problems.
Our industry loves to have kind of this versus this, right? Whether it's Mac versus PC, whether it's Avid versus Premiere. But the one that we see right now is on-prem versus cloud, right? And I'd love to hear your thoughts about where the trends may be, or maybe that's not even a valid question anymore.
I don't think it's valid right now. I think what really drove the cloud adoption was data is small and it's not as expensive as media, and you're doing computation where you're now able to have the hyperscalers provide ERPs, CRMs, phone systems, shared file systems of the data. And CEOs and CTOs and CFOs looked at that and said, this is working out incredibly well, let's move the rest of our platform to the cloud. And then the matter came about was, wow, this is a little more expensive than we thought. We see the enabling benefits, but is there a way that we can reduce our costs? Because effectively, when you go from on-prem, where you've been in a traditional ownership model, where you're now moving everything to the cloud, you become a renter. Right. And just culturally in the United States, everybody's goal is to buy a home. Why? Because you're able to pay it off and one day not have to pay rent.
Right.
But the movement to the cloud is you will be paying rent forever. Our premise is that may be okay. Keycode Media doesn't own a single building. We rent every building. Would have loved to buy the Burbank one, but that didn't happen. But the concept around it was I made decisions around geography to better service the clients. So rent made sense, but that is money that I will never get back. Same thing with the cloud, where there are some on-prem things where broadcasters basically are running at break even for 3 years on their equipment investment, and then years 3 to 7 they're making money. Even Google's taken it where their amortization on computers has gone from 3 to 5 to sometimes 7 years in terms of what their upgrade schedule is. That cash of owning equipment is you do get that residual benefit, but then not everybody does it. To me, it's an economic decision. What makes sense? I think hybrid, for those that are allowed to go to the web and the cloud and the hyperscalers, and they're comfortable with their data being there, which I can see levels of why they wouldn't be comfortable. I had independent companies approach me last year saying, Mike, you know everybody in Hollywood. We don't want their footage for anything other than training our models. And I said, explain to me what training your models means. And effectively, what they're doing is harvesting the IP knowledge to create their own, machine-generated imagery and video based on a tool that if they're trained off these different models, there's going to be similarity of the AI generation. And that's really a level of, we have clients, large corporations, large sports brands that are just saying, we're doing this on-prem because we don't trust the hyperscalers. Whether or not that's a valid concern or not, I don't know, but it's a premise that different people make different decisions based on security, risk, optimization of resources, revenues, and cost structure.
And FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Right, well, you look at Monday morning or Tuesday morning when Amazon went down, it shut down the internet. A broadcaster that had their entire master control in the cloud operating on AWS, they're no longer live, and the old story was 7 seconds of black got you fired. this was a lot longer than 7 seconds. So what's your redundancy factor? Is the operational efficiencies of being in the cloud with the risk structure that now we can see can happen, which that same risk happens on premise. So there's a lot of different factors there, and it's just, the issue I say to things is problems, if they can be solved by money, are no longer problems, they're financial decisions.
That's a great way of looking at things. Something else I kind of wanted to bring up, and then we'll wrap for today. But it seems that asset management used to be something that enterprise solutions had, right? Enterprise clients had, and then we found that with the deluge of AI harvested metadata and the need to interop with third-party systems, asset management wasn't just a repository to find things, it's now a repository to enrich your media and automate other processes. So are you seeing that the need for a MAM isn't so much a choice anymore as it's a eventuality? You're going to need something to help you find and then orchestrate things in your workflow?
Well, I think it's twofold. I mean, a lot of production companies have survived for a long time not having a MAM. Mm-hmm. They just bring all the content in, ingest it, watch it, cut it, knock it out, they're done. Now the issue really is people that we've worked with, our clients, they've gotten MAM to do two things. One is search, the other is automation. Automation and MAMs is a great place, whether what tool's doing that, what scripting, what triggering, and having something that can be that repository to give you that automation so labor's not doing things is still incredibly valid. My big aspect is on the MAM world is they better move into AI search faster. Right now they're vector-based search things that don't really maintain the metadata, but the question really becomes, and our good friend Bryson Jones said it best, people start a MAM, they have 20 categories that they're tagging, and by end of year 1, they're at 12, end of year 2, they're at 7, moving forward, maybe they're getting 5. All of a sudden they have a big project where they need to do a search, and that category they're searching on wasn't even part of the 20.
Mm-hmm. If you are anxious to hear more about the MAM discussion, which Mike Cavanagh will be sharing with us in our next Broadcast to Post podcast, you should make sure you subscribe to YouTube and check out our LinkedIn to see that video. And if you're looking to discuss any of the technologies that we've talked about over the past 2 days for broadcast, AV, production, and post-production, Keycode Media not only has a suite of solutions for your workflow, but we also offer consulting to make sure that the solutions you choose are going to work for your workflow. So check us out at keycodemedia.com, and we'll catch you on the next stream.
Thank you very much.